Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and yes, it actually happened. Pokémon Sword and Pokémon Shield have been announced for the Nintendo Switch. As you can probably tell if you've been on the internet ever since it was announced, even briefly, even on an unrelated site. You're bound to know. It was all announced in the Direct, which is what we're going to be talking about, and it was a whole whopping 7 minutes long. I mean, we knew that going in, but even so, they managed to make 7 minutes feel like about 7 seconds, and at the same time, really not tell us a lot, which is what we're going to be talking about, amongst other things, in this video, because yes, we're going to have a bit of a chatteroony about that Direct. Did you read the title? We're going to be looking at pretty much everything that they showed off in the Direct because it was so short. We're going to be looking at the new region, the Galar region. We're going to be looking at the new starter Pokemon. That's pretty much it. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. So let's start with the new region, the Galar region. Now, I don't know whether it's my own particular biases coming in here, but don't you think this looks a bit like the UK? If you've ever been. It has that sort of quaint, sort of Victorian vibe, you know, the industrial main city that we saw as well, with all the rusting metal and things like that. Well, rusting in places at least. And the great big clock tower that looks just like the Elizabeth Tower, which actually houses Big Ben. Big Ben's the bell, not the tower. Unwarranted knowledge! And all the countryside that looks very sort of Devonish and sort of, well, it's sort of the idea of the sort of the British countryside, or indeed it could just be sort of Western European in sort of a broader stroke, because there is some sort of Germanic feeling in there as well, absolutely. I'm not saying it is the UK, I'm saying it looks like it, and I'm biased. The region looks relatively expansive with the previously mentioned countryside bit, which just looks like the Shire from Lord of the Rings, and then you've got the sort of the main main towny city bit that looks a bit like London, and then you've got a great big lake area which looks a bit like the Lake District. Oh, I've not got an agenda at all. And then you've got the snowy mountains and stuff like that right at the top, which is where it looks like the Pokemon League is, but again, we don't know. I say again, I don't think I've said that yet. Which is sort of a tiny bit Scottish in a way, or maybe a bit Snowdonia, a bit like Wales. Whatever, that's not important. You know, it just looks really nice and interesting. It's the same sort of usual diversity that we've had in the past, but no desert area, because if it is indeed based on Western Europe, which indeed it certainly looks like it, there are no bloomin' deserts. There's the moors, the terrible moors, but no deserts as far as I know. I like the look of this region. I really like the countryside bit because I really like the countryside. And yeah, I must admit, I was expecting overall something a little bit more, I suppose, flamboyant, something a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Exotic, you know, something like that. Maybe somewhere in sort of in the Middle East, maybe. Or maybe even something just as sort of slightly different as Australia, where you've got the bush and stuff like that. I don't know, I just expected something a bit more exotic. I kind of hoped it would be, you know, sort of tickle my particular fancy. And it did, so I'm pleased with that. We didn't get any names of the places. I mentioned previously that it's called the Galar region, which you could, I suppose you could argue is like a sort of a bastardized form of Gaelic. Maybe that's really pushing it, isn't it? But yeah, we didn't see any place names or anything like that, so we are largely in the dark about a lot of this. They showed really not very much, you know, sort of little snippets here and there, and they didn't actually say a lot. They had sort of talking before and after in the Direct, which, if you haven't seen, there'll be a link in the description, go and watch it. But I mean, when it came down to the mechanics and things like that, we don't really know anything new. I like the way that the landscape looks much more natural, much more organic, much more like an actual world rather than the sort of grid-based system that, well, we haven't had for a while, actually. You know, Alola had a good amount of that, but this looks like it's taking it even further, probably taking advantage of the Switch's improved hardware, which is no bad thing. Speaking of which, let's talk about the graphics as much as we can, because it was all compressed and stuff, and I've even and the video that they provided, I think, was in 720p, which, why? Why not 1080? Graphically, it looks quite similar to Let's Go, although it does look like it's maybe a bit more refined, you know, a little bit more going on in there. I found that Let's Go, I thought, looked good overall, but it wasn't hugely impressive. The graphics were relatively basic and the art style was fine, you know, there was nothing wrong with it, and the art style overall, in terms of like the people design and stuff like that, is relatively the same in this one, unsurprisingly, because it's all the sort of the Pokemon art style, which is fine, and they sort of seem to have gone for a slightly more cel-shaded look, which I think looks pretty damn good overall. I think maybe there's some slight cel shading on the Pokemon as well, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Maybe it'll be apparent when I put video over the top of this bit that I'm chatting about. And anyway, the game's got the best part of a year left in development, you know, sort of like 9 months or something, because they announced that it's coming out in late 2019, which isn't surprising at all. That's what they've been saying for a long time, and it marries up with that. I really hope they hit that target, and considering late 2019 usually means Christmas, I'd be very surprised if they didn't, simply because you don't want to miss out on Christmas. So there's loads of time left for development and stuff like that, so maybe the graphics will get a bit of an overhaul, but overall, things just looked a little bit more sort of refined, slightly overall, slightly higher fidelity. The sound didn't, my lord, listen to this. That's like the audio quality from the 3DS when you're capturing it via HDMI and it doesn't do it properly. Trust me, I know, and I still don't really know how it happens, why, or how to get around it. Thankfully, I don't need to capture 3DS anymore these days, which is marvellous, because that was a faff. But what about the actual new stuff that we actually know? That's right, all 3 of the things we know, the 3 new starter Pokemon, and we're gonna go through them in an order. First of all, we've got Grookey, which I can't bear it. Oh, it's so lovely. Oh, Grookey's the best. He's the best thing I've ever seen. Easily the best starter since Rowlet. I've always been a sucker for grass-type Pokemon. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I like Bulbasaur the most when I first got Pokemon, and I've just sort of gone from there, and I've always liked grass-type Pokemon and bug-type Pokemon, basically like nature-y type things. I don't know why, but I do, and so I'm massively biased, and Grookey is therefore objectively the best. Then we've got Scorbunny, which... no. It's Sonic the Hedgehog in rabbit form, and with it's on fire. I don't know, it really doesn't work for me, you know. I mean, it's fine, maybe the later evolutions are better, but the design just looks like someone drew a cartoon rabbit and then coloured it in slightly. That may be a bit harsh, and there may be some people who love Scorbunny, and fine, that's great, you're more than welcome to, but me, no, I'm not sold on Scorbunny. I think it's kind of bad, especially after Litten. Litten was the business. That's how you do a fire starter, basically a cat. And lastly, the water Pokemon, Sobble. Did I say Scorbunny was the fire one? Let's just clarify. It was the fire one. Sobble, the wimpy water lizard Pokemon. I'm pretty fond of Sobble as well, to be brutally honest. I just like the idea of a timid, sort of watery lizardy type thing. I like lizards as well. And yeah, it just appeals to me. Not as much as Grookey. Grookey just looks adorable and fun. Looks like he's just a happy-go-lucky, curious little monkey with a stick. Yeah, how can you say no to a cute little monkey with a stick? But I like Sobble as well. Sobble's a good Pokemon in my opinion. I don't know anything else about it. It's timid. It doesn't like conflict, which is bad news for Pokemon, but I have a feeling maybe Sobble might get over it in its later evolutions. We don't know any of the typing other than, you know, grass, fire, and water, you know, the stuff, the basics that they always are. And I was kind of hoping that we might get a different sort of trifecta, you know, rather than grass, water, and fire. 3 others that I can't think of off the top of my head that have the same triangular properties. Bug, rock, and ground? No. When they evolve, they'll no doubt be dual type, and I'm really hoping that Grookey's going to be a fighting grass type, because that's not a combination we get very often. We've got things like Breloom, obviously, but you know, sort of Grookey little fighty monkey that's got grass and stuff. Yeah, I'm down with that. Scorbunny, I don't know, something fast. There isn't a fast type. Are they going to do a new type in this? They should do. They should do Sonic as a new type. And I don't mean the Hedgehog. That's the second time he's come up in this video. Sobble, dunno, I'm guessing dark. Maybe it gets like moody or something. It's like a moody lizard that's like, I'm gonna be evil, and you know, I'm over being scared, but I'm evil, or at least I'm dark. Yeah, something like that. Or maybe, no, ghost, because it can kind of disappear. Oh, water ghost. That would be amazing. Oh, water ghost Pokemon. Does it already exist? Maybe. I could easily be wrong about all of this, to be honest. You know, it's just the start of Pokemon. We don't know how they're going to evolve, but it's always fun to have a little speculation. And realistically, that was it. That was all that was in the Direct. They talked again briefly about the Galar region, and they filled a surprising amount of time with this. You know, loads of people have caught loads of Pokemon in the past and played loads of Pokemon games. Here's a new one, and it just seemed like, you know, filler. And then they were chatting about, you know, oh, this game's designed to appeal to new old Pokemon fans and the ones that played Let's Go and people who've never played a Pokemon game. And it's like you're targeting the entire planet. And that was it. That was pretty much all they mentioned, apart from, you know, the release date, which I've already mentioned. That was it. And, you know, I know it was only 7 minutes, but even so, it did feel a little bit light. Oh, no, there was one more thing. Oh, my God, everyone's complaining at me in the comments. Random encounters are back, baby, and I don't know how I feel about it. I really liked in Let's Go when you'd walk around and you'd see the Pokemon appear. I really, really liked that. I thought it was a much more involved way. It made the world feel much more alive. But I don't know whether maybe limitations mean that they can't, or if they just wanted to stick to the original system. And, I don't know, maybe you get a choice or something, but I doubt it, to be honest. I doubt they'd do the amount of work they did for Let's Go with all of that stuff, because they all had to have, like, different animations and stuff, like walking animations. So it would be amazing if they did do that, but at the same time, I can kind of see how maybe that would just be a little bit ludicrous. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I'm not a games developer. I'm just slightly disappointed. I like seeing the world full of Pokemon, and it feels like a tiny bit of a step back in that instance, but it's not the end of the world. It's really not. It's just a little thing that I'm complaining about. Overall, I liked it. It was fine. I do kind of feel that maybe it was originally going to be in the Nintendo Direct, or maybe, you know, sort of they played with the idea because it was such a short thing. Really, wasn't it? It was such a short thing. Did it really need to be its own Direct? No. But I'm guessing maybe they wanted it to tie in with Pokemon Day, and so they were just like, yeah, just do that. Just do that. The Pokemon Company convinced Nintendo somehow. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you hit that subscribe button with a little stick like an adorable little sausage. And be sure to check out NintendoLife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.